Fasten your seatbelt and come along with us for a video recap of our hiking along the Southwest Coast Path in the Exmoor area of England. The Southwest Coast Path stretches 630 miles along the stunning coastline of England, through Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, and Dorset. We, of course, only hiked a tiny fraction of the total path, and this video will show a few of the things we saw along the way. In 1885, Colonel Benjamin Lake, a wealthy solicitor, bought Martinhoe Manor and the surrounding woody bay with the intention of creating a resort to rival nearby Lynmouth. This kind of reminds me of the Jane Austen story Sanditon. Well, he invested vast sums building roads, a pier for steamships, villas on the bay's wooded slopes, a hotel, a railway station, and a golf course high above the bay. But unfortunately for Colonel Lake, the challenge of steep terrain and a terrible storm that destroyed the pier caused expenses to spiral out of control. The anticipated crowds of holidaymakers never arrived, and in 1900 he was forced into bankruptcy. Shortly thereafter, he was convicted of fraudulently using his client's savings to fund the Woody Bay development and sentenced to 12 years in prison. In 1907, he died a broke and broken man. We are hiking along this coastal path above Woody Bay. And these trees are kind of amazing. They seem to wrap over the top of the trail and almost create a tunnel. So this path we're on looks really picturesque and beautiful and verdant and lovely, except then you look this way, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is like an amazingly steep drop-off, which is a little scary for this Magenta Otter, I gotta say.
So here we are at the infamous U-Boat Falls.
I'm currently standing in a little stream, precariously perched over a cliff, so that Ian can tell you about this waterfall he's sitting in front of.
We were told by the proprietor of our B&B that this waterfall is where U-boats would get their fresh water during the Second World War. So this is a very isolated spot of the English coast, and nobody would probably notice U-boats coming up here in this area. But we think it's a little far-fetched for it to be this specific part of the waterfall. There's another waterfall near the beach. We think that's more likely where they would have gotten their water, because this is quite a ways up. So this is a scree field along our Woody Bay hike.
I'll show you behind us and in front of us what it looks like. There's just a whole mountainside full of these little shards of rock. And it's a very steep drop down there. Speaking of steep drop-offs, here's Ian perched on the edge of a cliff taking a photo. You can tell by the way my hair is standing on end that it's really windy up here at the top of this cliff. I had to just keep focused on the path ahead and not continue looking at the incredibly steep drop-off to the right.
So here we are hiking along the old carriage path between Heddon's Gate and Woody Bay. And this is where the carriages used to go along in the olden days before cars. And it's a very narrow path, so it's probably a little hair-raising in places for carriages, especially if they met another carriage going the other direction.
But it's nice for us because we've been walking a very narrow footpath prior to this on the lower trail. Over there you can see the lower coast path that we just walked. This is the upper coast path. Here's some late blooming bright yellow gorse. Most of what we've seen along the path has been beyond its prime, but it's nice to see this little patch of bright yellow. Unfortunately, no magenta flowers on the hiking trail. These purple ones were as close as we got.
We're going to do some hiking today, and we're going to go to the Valley of the Rocks, which is supposed to be a beautiful valley full of wild goats.
We haven't had any goat footage yet, so I hope we get some goat footage.
Yeah, and we're going to take a drive right now towards Lee Bay, which is a very isolated area. And we're not going to go the full length because I've been told that there's really significant drop-offs into the ocean on a very narrow road. It's pretty scary drive, so I'm going to avoid that. But we're going to go as far as
the drive up to the hotel on that narrow road on a cliffside that's supposed to be 2-lane. That's scary enough for me. As I point out in my random funny British bits videos, I frequently find signs rather funny. I mean, look at these signs. It's a bit overwhelming to think about what's ahead in that stretch of road. The next area we visited was a place called Lee Bay, a cove tucked away in a secluded spot near Linton in North Devon. Lee Bay is dominated by Lee Abbey. The area was originally owned by Cistercian monks, but the abbey itself didn't gain its title until the 19th century, when Charles Bailey built the large Gothic Revival-style house we see today. The house was converted into a luxury hotel with a golf course and is now a Christian retreat. Several cottages on the estate are available for self-catering holidays, and as we decided when we visited there, you could hardly find a more peaceful and idyllic place. So Lee Bay is just a combination of wonderful things. Green pastures with happy cows grazing in them, the vast blue sea hugging an unspoilt cove, with steep cliffs and rugged rocks providing plenty of drama, as well as lovely cottages, a little babbling brook, and wild blackberries that my dear hubby sees as his personal snack vending machine.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go?
These coastal paths make me nervous. I'm constantly telling Ian to stay away from the edge.
Be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge, I can break your fall.
So we're sitting here at the top of a hill on a bench with the most amazing view, starting another day of hiking around the coastal trail around Linton. So we're out here trying to get as much hiking and drone flying and goat spotting done as possible. Here's Ian calibrating his drone at the top of a hill overlooking the sea. Okay, little bug, go get us some good footage. I'm a big scaredy cat about heights, especially edges. Like, I'm really paranoid about falling off the edges of things. So it's a little scary for me standing on this hilltop right here. But the view is so amazing of the valley below and the rocky ridge ahead and the ocean on the other side. Here is a bird's eye view of my goat friends from atop the steep mountain slope where they were perched, overlooking the countryside, the cliffside, and the blue sea below. There were so many mountain goats grazing on the side of the hill, and they didn't seem to be fazed much by my presence. I think they're pretty used to hikers up there. They just kept munching away and ignoring me. This little mountain goat kid is perched here on this steep cliff, just hanging out, just chilling, not a care in the world. And I think this might be his parent up here along the trail. Let's see what this mountain goat does when I walk along the trail right next to it. You've got quite the little mountain goat beard. Hello. Hi there, friend. It seems like maybe the younger ones with the littler horns are a little bit more afraid of us, but the older ones with the big horns really don't seem to be bothered by us humans. I'm just hanging out on the side of a steep hill with the sea 1,000 feet below me and a bunch of mountain goats above my head. Taking some selfies with mountain goats this morning. These black and white goats are so cute. And then we headed back the trail of crunchy leaves to our hotel. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. Should I take the one less traveled by? How about you take the high road and I'll take the low road? This part of the path feels like it's been cut into a big chasm in the rock of the hillside. And it has a wonderful green leafy canopy overhead. Here's my hunk of husband next to a big hunk of rocks. Thanks for watching our adventures. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and do something good in the world today.